Hello and welcome to Friday's ITV News Meridian.
These are tonight's headlines here in the southeast. A lorry park in Kent is delayed until next year. But what will it mean for residents, jobs and motorways in the southeast?
Fresh warnings about buying pets online. Facebook removes content after our investigation.
Keep right on to the end of the road.
And lifting our spirits in lockdown, war veteran Charlie Pallett records a song at the age of 99. Good evening. A lorry park in Kent has been delayed by at least 6 months. The planned site in Guston near Dover had been due to open this summer in a bid to keep freight flowing and prevent traffic jams on motorways in the southeast.
Well, the hold-up comes as the full import controls were pushed back until next year and as Manston Airport prepares to close to lorries at the weekend. Well, with more on this, we can now cross to Kit Bradshaw. Kit, a big alteration in the timetable down there, so what's changed?
Well, Fred, as you say, it's all because of a decision announced by the government last week to delay the introduction of full import controls on all goods coming in from the EU. That was meant to happen in July, and that's why officials working on the plans for the lorry park here between Whitfield and Guston near Dover wanted to get it ready for those checks coming in July. But they're not going to be introduced until 2022 at the earliest, and that means officials don't expect the first HGVs to have to use this site until next year. And just to give you an idea of the geography, we're just a few hundred metres from the A2, just up at that roundabout there. The idea being that lorries would be able to come off the A2 onto the White Cliffs Business Park, and they'd enter the inland border facility just behind me, just where you can see that conveniently located broken down HGV. That would be the entrance to the border park. Now, the local residents I've been speaking to today have welcomed the delay in the timetable.
Brexit's probably gone much smoother than they hoped, which does make you question if they really needed it in the first place, because this site must be costing them absolutely millions.
It's not really the best place to put it anyway, because it's right on a business park in front of a tiny village like this. It's going to be overloaded.
Lyddon is the preferred place for us as far as we're concerned. It's on the dual carriageway, it's got a turning off and everything. It's ideal. It's no houses, nothing.
We have seen some temporary designs which show that the position of the lorries and so forth will not be as close to the residents. But, you know, there are so many other options that could have been looked into if they had given themselves time.
Now, those in favour of the site really welcome the jobs that will be connected to this site if planning permission is approved, both in the construction of it and when it's fully operational, possibly sometime next year. Now, Councillor Jeff Limer sits on Kent County Council for the Conservatives. Jeff, do you hope this delay will help some of the concerns of local residents that we heard there to be factored in by the Department for Transport?
I really do, because I have great concern for a lot of the residents around here. I don't know of anyone around Whitfield who wants this park. If you look further up this dual carriageway, you're back onto the A2. It's a very short distance from one roundabout to this roundabout, and all you need is a prime example like that of a broken down lorry, which is not an uncommon occurrence here, and you'll have tailbacks of HGVs onto the A2. And the public do not want to be mixing with left-hand drive foreign HGVs that may be lost around here when they're having a nice shopping experience. In my view, the longer the delay, the better. And when you look at this situation, this is a route which is going to be used by the Dover Fast Track as well.
That's the local bus scheme that's been approved, which will also be connected to this roundabout. So lots of concerns for the planners to hopefully factor in, and the final designs will be published in the coming weeks, we believe. Thank you very much for joining us, Jeff Limer. And it's worth saying that this comes as we were hearing when big changes happening to how freight moves around Kent this weekend, because from Sunday, Dover-bound lorries that are currently being directed to Manston Airport ever since the end of last year, they'll be directed to Operation Brock on the M20 from this Sunday. So that's a big change to how lorries are moving around this county. But Kent County Council says whatever changes happen, be it the change with Dover-bound lorries this weekend or the delay to the time-schedule for this inland border facility, they constantly keep their traffic management plans under review and will do all they can to keep traffic moving across the county.
Kit Bradshaw, thank you very much indeed. In other news, a father from Crowborough found guilty of murdering his baby daughter has been jailed for life. Holly Rowe was just 8 weeks old when paramedics found her not breathing and with no heart activity at her home in Sussex. Michael Rowe will serve a minimum of 19 years in prison. Tiffany Tate, her mother, was found guilty of allowing her daughter's death and has been jailed for 2 years and 9 months.
A man has been found dead in Brighton. Police were called near to the clock tower in Queen's Road just after 6:30 this morning. The man was found unresponsive. His death is being treated as unexplained but not suspicious. The surrounding roads, which were closed for some time, have since reopened.
A mother from Strood in Kent has lost a High Court appeal to prevent doctors ending her daughter's life support treatment. Paula Parfitt wants specialists to stage a home care trial for 5-year-old Pippa, who has brain damage. Appeal judges today upheld the court's original decision that treatment could lawfully end and that she should be allowed to die.
Refugees and some MPs have called for the closure of Napier Barracks in Folkestone, which is currently used to house asylum seekers. A day of action has been held online to lobby Parliament for the site to be shut. Some groups say the barracks are unfit for human habitation. The Home Office says Napier provides safe and secure accommodation.
We won't rest until we see this appalling type of accommodation closed. And we have an upcoming piece of legislation that this government's calling the Sovereign Borders Bill. I think this is going to be an opportunity for us all to work together and to campaign for a much better system, the sort of system that we want to see, welcoming people and unlocking people's potential to go out and rebuild that future.
I've spoken to some of the accommodation providers in recent weeks about how perhaps there could be shifts of contracts away from the Home Office into MHCLG, empowering local authorities. Of course, that's an attractive, superficial solution, but actually it could work, but only if local authorities are funded properly to do it. It's absolutely imperative that we hear the voices of those in the asylum seekers, in the asylum system, and reflect on what we hear from them and take action.
An ITV News investigation has found pages on social media site Facebook appearing to show pet animals for sale, which goes against their own policies.
Charities are issuing fresh warnings about the dangers of buying animals on social media, saying they may be sick, imported from abroad, or it could be a scam. Since we contacted Facebook, the violating content has been removed. Our reporter Matt Price has the story.
At the Dogs Trust rehoming centres across the Meridian region, they know demand for pets during lockdown has certainly gone up. Regional manager Adam knows his team always offer advice to potential owners who are keen to welcome a new addition to the family.
It has to be, is it the right time for you to get this dog? Because, you're not making a decision for the next 12 to 14 weeks. You're making a decision for the next 12 to 14 years. This is a dog's lifetime of responsibility, and you're going to have such commitments as financial commitments, ties into the care and looking after of the dog, the training of the dog.
There are no specific laws to regulate the standard of online pet advertising. Facebook say they ban animals for sale on their platform, but ITV News has found pages appearing to list adverts. The website tells us we do not allow the sale of animals on Facebook, including in private groups, and we have removed these pages. A survey of dog owners by the Kennel Club found 29% of those across the southeast wouldn't know how to spot signs of a rogue breeder. 26% didn't see the family home where the puppy was bred.
We'd like to see better regulation, because some of these sites are completely unregulated, and that's where these serious accidents happen. So we'd like to see better regulation of the sites.
Buying on social media was something Matt Clark was keen to avoid. He's weeks away from getting his new puppy bought through reputable sellers.
I am aware of it, and it's not something that we ever considered. It just seems that you don't know what you're getting, you don't know what conditions the animals have been raised in, and you just don't know whether you can trust the people that you're buying from. So we stayed away from it.
Last year, a law aimed at cracking down on so-called puppy farms was passed. It bans the sale by third parties, meaning owners must deal directly with a breeder or animal shelter.
People can't do enough of the research. Make sure you see the puppy interacting with its mum. Be prepared to wait for a well-bred puppy rather than just go online and to an advert and order any old pup to be delivered. Because, the more research you do, the more people you talk to, the more likely you are to get a responsibly bred pet.
Charities are keen to reinforce an animal is for life, not just for lockdown, and that we should spend time carefully considering where we get that newest member of the family from. Matt Price, ITV News.
Yes, you are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you for choosing us. Coming up, Andrew Pate will have all your sport.
And it's the spring equinox this weekend. I'll be back a little later in the programme with the full weekend forecast.
Look forward to that, and you can find more on today's top stories in the South East by visiting our website. Just go to itv.com/Meridian. You can call us, the number is on your screen now. Remember, you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, for the first time, the Office for National Statistics expects the vast majority of us to fill our 2021 census online. It's hoping almost all of us will be completed by the end of the month, spending much of the next year analysing and compiling the data.
And in the last of our census series, Nick Smith has a guide on how to fill it in and what's new this time round.
Many of you may have started filling it out already, but this coming Sunday, March 21st, is officially Census Day, so your answers need to reflect the status of your household on that particular day. Censuses in the UK are traditionally held in March or April, as people are statistically less likely to be on holiday during that time. This year will be the first time the majority of applications will be filled in online, so you should have received an access code for your household in the post, which can be used on the website. Though, you can still request a paper form. One person from each household normally fills it in on behalf of others, but other members of a household can change the details anonymously if they want to provide answers about themselves which they don't want others to know about. Census questions change over time to try and stay more relevant to the society we live in. For instance, up until 1991, households were still being asked if they had an outside toilet. This time around, the question asking how many rooms are within a property has been removed, but there are some new questions being added, some of them voluntary. For the first time, those aged 16 and over will be asked about their sexual orientation and gender identity, while in the household section, there's a question on your use of renewable energy. The Office for National Statistics conducts the census and is keen to stress that sensitive information like names and addresses isn't made public for more than 100 years. But the general data, such as population demographics, is used by a whole range of sources, from the government to healthcare, emergency services and businesses, to try and better understand the communities they serve. Field officers will be visiting households which haven't submitted a census by late March to try and do so on the doorstep. And be warned, it is mandatory. People who refuse to fill it in face fines of up to £1,000. So the clock is ticking to make sure your household is counted in this once-a-decade event. Nick Smith, ITV News.
I've done mine. Now, the ITV Evening News Hour continues here with the national and international news at 6:30. With more, Lucrezia Millarini.
Fears of a third coronavirus wave in Europe. Parts of France go into a new lockdown tonight. What does it mean for us? Also,
do you want to tell me why you've been sending money to Syria?
in an exclusive investigation, ITV News confronts an alleged money man who claims he can help free Islamic State supporters from Syrian detention camps. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, Now, students have begun to create a forest food garden at their school in Sussex. They've been planting fruit trees and bushes to mimic the lush growth found in a real forest.
Well, the garden at Priory School in Lewes is part of a wider environmental project called Green United, and it gives students a breath of fresh air too, as Malcolm Shaw will tell us.
1, 2, 3, and lift.
A welcome break away from the classroom for Year 8 students at Priory School in Lewes, taking delivery of the fruit, trees and bushes they need to create their own forest food garden.
If you think of a forest, there are layers of vegetation. So you've got the top layer, the trees, then you've got the smaller trees, and underneath that you've got scrubs and shrubs and so on, and then you've got the ground layer. So that's essentially what we're trying to replicate with a forest food garden, but the ideal is that each layer would be producing some sort of food.
An area of the school grounds has already been set aside for the project. The students soon get to work with the all-important jobs of planning what goes where and planting out.
We just finally get to be out and get to do fun stuff.
It's just different from being in a classroom every day.
It relaxes your mind instead of thinking about work all the time and stuff.
I love going out, getting my hands dirty and that.
The benefits of using the great outdoors for education are well established. Lessons learned here often remembered for life.
So in the classroom we have ecology projects that we are normally looking at through textbooks. When we can bring something like this onto the site, it means that we can provide a real hands-on experience for all the students as well.
It's delightful to see some of the plants already in flower, because hopefully we might get some fruit this year, and I know they're very eager to invite their friends and their family to come down and have a look and maybe taste some of the fruits literally of their labour. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that.
The Forest Food Garden is one of a range of environmental projects organised through Green United, a joint venture with Sussex University.
It's the mix of hands-on and actually learning the knowledge, and you learn as you're actually doing the work itself. And that virtual circle of the knowledge that you need in order to do the right things that then informs more knowledge that you need, that is what we're trying to do here.
Creating the garden was delayed by the pandemic, but with the students now back at school, they're making up for lost time. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Lewes.
The idea. Now, his 100th birthday is not until April the 6th, but an army veteran from Maidstone has already made his wishes clear. No cards or presents.
Instead, 99-year-old Charlie Pallett would like people to support his fundraising efforts and has performed a version of the wartime favourite, Keep Right On to the End of the Road. That's the spirit. James Dunham has been to meet him for tonight's Lockdown Lift.
If I hear a song and I like it, I'll sing it with whoever. Keep right on to the end of the road.
So with just a few weeks until his 100th birthday, Charlie Pallett took himself off to a studio and recorded this, the lyrics.
Keep right on to the end round the bend.
Appropriate for what's happening now, but during the Second World War this song kept Charlie and his pals going as they delivered ammunition and supplies around the world. He was called into service at the age of 18. How much help was music to you during the Second World War?
It was a lot of help. Any kind of music, singing, hearing people's voices. Vera Lynn, if she was called to a big campsite where there was more than one battalion or whatever, then you'd be told best bib and tucker and go to the show. That's when you would hear the song. Inspired by Sir Captain Tom Moore, Charlie is using his performance to raise as much money as he can for Help for Heroes. He's already reached his £1,000 target, and the charity, which looks after servicemen and women, is incredibly grateful.
99% of our money comes from the public. So events like this, and when Charlie decides that he wants to do it, are fantastic. And I think part of that is because it does inspire other people. I've already spoken to people who have said, oh, you know, we'd love to do something, we'd love to find some way of actually doing some fundraising.
As Charles's daughter, you must be incredibly proud that he's doing this.
Yes, we are. We're all very, very proud of him. And it's amazing what he's done. He wanted to do it for all the servicemen and women, Help for Heroes was the best one for him. Very close to his heart, obviously, as a veteran. But yeah, we're very, very proud of him, very.
After my birthday, I just want to forget it all. You know?
You're not going to become a celebrity?
No, I don't want to be a celebrity. I just want to be me.
So he's not after fame or necessarily fortune, but through his performance,
Keep right on to the end.
Charlie hopes any donations will make a difference. James Dunham, ITV News.
Yep, keep on right till the end. Well said, Charlie. You've got a lovely, lovely voice. Let's cross to the weather studio now where Philippa is waiting. And Pip, it's Friday, so that means lockdown pets.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favourite times of the week, a chance to celebrate those pets that have made lockdown a little bit more bearable and raised a smile or two. Now, we start with a very special request. This first one comes from Alan Jenkins in Eastbourne. This is the beautiful Poppy. Now, she sadly passed away a little earlier this year at the grand age of 15. Much loved by many, and Alan really hopes she could be remembered on here. Sending our very best to you, Alan. They do leave a big old hole, don't they? Next up, a lovely snap from John Ireland in Ashford. The return to school has, of course, been welcome news for many, but spare a thought for little Albert here, who's really missing his homeschooling buddy, Sophie. That face really does tug at the heartstrings, doesn't it? Lots of us have turned to exercise as a welcome distraction during lockdown. In Hastings, Jackie Hawkins' cat Miss Moneypenny has proved a dab hand at a spot of yoga. There are others who prefer a taste of the great outdoors, and Jan Cat sent us this lovely snap of Bailey on one of his walks around Bexhill. Now, he loves nothing more than dropping his ball in the water for Jan to fetch. I can't help feeling that's the wrong way round, but he certainly looks pretty pleased with himself here. DIY has also proved popular over the last year. Better still, the inevitable empty boxes. Here's Tim Hanlon's cat Bodger making himself comfortable in Ashford. And we'll round things off this evening with Dean Spink's cat, who is certainly no stranger to comfort. This is Smudge catching some rays and, more importantly, some Zeds in his garden in Broadstairs.
Pip, I know that feeling all too well. And this weekend, the spring equinox.
Absolutely, yes. The spring equinox will happen at 9:37 tomorrow morning, and it marks the start of astronomical spring. But is the weather playing ball? Let's have a look.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
Well, it turned out to be a fairly nice day out there to end the working week. Lots of dry weather, plenty of sunshine, but for the weekend, something of a change afoot. More in the way of cloud making its return, but it will be mostly dry and the winds should be fairly light as well. All thanks to high pressure. Currently, it's centred out towards the west of the UK. That's really where it will stay through the course of the next few days, keeping things settled. But just a couple of weak fronts running through the flow will bring more in the way of cloud and perhaps a little patchy rain at times, but certainly not amounting to very much at all. Out there at the moment, we're looking at dry and fairly clear conditions. Underneath those clear skies, it will become quite chilly overnight. Temperatures 1 or 2 degrees either side of freezing for most of us, low enough in places to give a touch of ground frost by dawn. Now, tomorrow morning, it will be a chilly start, but a bright start first thing, but the sunshine could be fairly short-lived. It won't be long before we see thickening cloud drifting down from the north, and that will give most of us a rather grey end to the day. But again, mostly dry, winds fairly light, temperatures a little bit of a struggle tomorrow for most of us, I think, pinned back in single figures, and of course with all that cloud and the lack of sunshine, perhaps feeling somewhat fresher. These are the high tide times for tomorrow. Then for Brighton, 2:40 in the morning, 3 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. And as we look ahead to the next few days, very little in the way of change to pick out. Plenty of cloud, mostly dry, light winds, and temperatures just about around average for the time of year. Bye-bye.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
And in just a moment, the ITV Evening News Hour continues here with Lucrezia Millarini.
For now, though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you for watching. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. See you Monday. Take care.
Happy weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.